Hello, this is Shawn Wilson from Epicenter Cycling. I'm here reviewing everything you need to know about the 2021 Townie Go 5i. But starting off, this bike has upgraded this year to the Bosch Active Line Plus motor. I'm excited about that because last year it had 40 Newton meters, which is okay for the average riding along West Cliff, around the ocean. But if you have some steeper hills in your neighborhood, this motor has 50 Newton meters. So it's going to really help you on those steeper driveways or areas around town where you want that a little extra help. They call it the 5i now, Townie Go 5i. It used to be called the Townie Go 8i. That refers to the shifting design in the rear hub. It has a Shimano Nexus 5-speed internal hub, so all the gear mechanism is internal. Now the 5-speed system is a little bit more robust than the 8-speed, and with a motor you don't necessarily need as many gears, so they simplified it, they made it more durable. So that is an upgrade this year, going to the 5i hub. The controller on this bike is called the Bosch Purion display. So the way you turn on this bike is the button on the top of the display. You'll feel it press in, just tap it once, give it a moment to turn on. It's going to default to the off setting. You'll see your miles per hour at the top. It defaults to the assist setting, so it's going to say off there, and then it's going to show your battery indicator. So as you go through the assist modes, it'll stay on that mode as you go up and down. Starts you out and off, then you go to Eco, a little bit of help, then you go to Tour, Sport, Turbo. If you go to off, the motor disengages extremely well on this bike. So you can ride this like a normal bike. You can keep the display on, just put it in the off setting. You can still track your miles and your miles per hour and have the lights on. But you turn it in this off setting if you don't want to have any assist. Now the other functions you can go through. If you hold the negative button, that's your trip distance. So you can track each ride. If you want to reset it, just hold both buttons. We'll go back to 0. Hold the negative button for a couple seconds, then release. So that's your total odometer for the bike. We just built this one, so it's got 0 miles on it. Hold the negative again. There's your range function. Now if you're in the off setting, it's not going to say anything. But if you hit plus, it'll tell you go to Eco, and then it'll tell you how many miles you have left on this charge. Now this number will change while you're riding. So if you're going up a hill, that number will shrink. You go down a hill, it'll increase. So it's kind of a live number. You can use this in combination with the battery indicator. So once that number starts to get lower, less than 10 miles, then you'd bump down the assist to Eco to make sure you get home. Hold the negative button again, then you're back to the mode where it just shows you the assist setting, and it'll stay on there. Now if you're in the range function, when you change the assist, it'll tell you for a moment and then it goes back to the range. If you're in assist setting, you press the bottom button, that's your walk mode. Now you'll notice it turned off pretty quickly, so it's only going to stay on for a few moments. So you press it and then you hold the plus button and it'll push the bike while you're walking the bike up a steep hill. If you don't want to push a heavier bike, this will offset the weight of the bike. So again, press the bottom button, hold plus, and it'll push it while you're holding the button. The second you let go of that plus button, it'll stop pushing the bike for you. And again, the off button here, just at the top, just tap it once. Alrighty, so on the Townie Go 5i, removing the battery is very easy. You're going to take your key. There's a keyhole on the left side. Insert the key, turn the key counterclockwise. It'll release the battery, and then you can lift up and use this as a handle to take the battery off the bike. You can charge the battery directly on the bottom with your Bosch charger. right into a 110 outlet. To install the battery, you'll take your battery. The bottom of the battery is going to be guided by this lip. Just set the battery on there, and then you're going to press down at the top, and you're going to hear that solid click. It's really important you hear that click. Every time I put the battery on, I usually will pull up, make sure it's real secure. Yank on it a few times. You do not want that battery bouncing out on you when you're riding, so just triple check that. So this is a Bosch 400 watt battery. It's a 36 volt, 11 amp hour, 400 watt battery, lithium ion battery. Alrighty, so if you are charging the battery off the bike, this is the charger. There's a little dimple on the top of the cord. Put your thumb on that. That's for the line up for the top of the battery. Let's try that again. If you're charging the battery off the bike, take your Bosch charger. There's a dimple on the top of the cord. Put your thumb on that. Your thumb's going to be at the top, and you just guide that right in. So that dimple is on the top. Bosch logo's on the top. Nice and easy. Just pops in and out. Just like that. Plug this into your 110 outlet. So if you need to lock up the bike, let's say outside, and you come inside to charge the battery, this is what you'll be doing. Now if you've got a garage with power in your garage, then you can charge the bike while the battery's on, then you don't have to move it at all. To do that, I'll put the battery back on. On the left side of the battery, there is a little rubber flap that you can pull back. Dimples on the top, just slide that right in there. Plug it into your 110 outlet, it'll start charging. You'll see the lights come on here. The display will also tell you that it's charging. When you turn on the bike, tap the power button on the top, you'll notice the lights turn on automatically. From the factory, that's how they set it up. They recommend to always ride with the lights on. It doesn't use much of your battery. You're safer, you're more seen on the roads. It's similar to daytime running lights on your car. So we recommend to keep it that way. If for some reason you do not want the lights always to be on, you can come into the bike shop and we can adjust that on our end. But the bikes always come where the lights turn on automatically. Alright, so adjusting the seat height. This bike has the flat foot technology. You'll notice the cranks are slightly in front of the saddle. That allows you to touch the ground a little bit easier than most bikes. Most bikes, the cranks are slightly below the seat, directly below the seat, so your tippy toes are barely touching the ground. With flat foot technology, you can touch the ground a little easier, and then when you're pedaling, you still get the right leg extension. If you need to adjust the seat height, there's a quick release clamp here. You're going to pry that open, and then you can adjust the seat up and down. There is a minimum insertion that you need to pay attention to. On the back of the seat post, you'll see these grooves in the posts, and it says minimum insertion right below the groove. So it's important that this line is inside the seat tube. If you were to just put the seat post this far in, the leverage of the post can break the frame right here. So it's important it's at least that far in the seat tube. Once you make your adjustment, clamp the quick release. Try it out. You can see I can still touch the ground when I'm pedaling. If I put the pedal at the dead bottom of the pedal stroke, I still have a little bit of bend here. I've got long legs, so this would be more comfortable for me. The seat itself has an adjustment on the seat post. If you look at the bike from the side, you'll notice the angle of the saddle, the nose is tilted up just a little bit. When you're sitting really upright, you can get away with the seat in that angle. Some riders don't like that. if you feel a lot of pressure on the front of the saddle, you can tilt this down. The way you do that, there's 2 bolts on the seat post. You're going to tighten this bolt and loosen this bolt with a 5mm Allen wrench. If it's very tight, this is not that tight, so I can use the ball end side of this wrench. And then we're going to tighten on the front side here. As you tighten this, it's going to bring the nose down. This one's all the way loose, this one's all the way tight. Keep tightening, and it's going to bring the nose down just a little bit at a time. A little adjustment can actually make a really big difference. So this bike has a double kickstand. It keeps the bike very stable, especially if you're going to put a lot of weight on some rear bags. The kickstand is super easy to use. All you do is you put your foot in front of the kickstand, push the bike forward, the kickstand will go up. When you're done riding, put the kickstand up, put your foot on top of the kickstand, and just pull the bike back. And it will hold it up with a lot of stability. Now, if the kickstand is down and the wheel is up really high, you can adjust the kickstand. So you can adjust the height of the kickstand with this bolt here and fine tune that for your preference. So if it's too hard for you to get the kickstand up and down, you're going to want to raise this up. So you take the bolt out, or you loosen it mostly, bring it up, and then tighten it. If you need to remove the front wheel, this bike has a quick release on the front. It's super easy to do. All you're going to do, you're going to open up this lever, similar concept to the seat post. Open up this lever here. You're going to hold the lever in place, and then you're going to turn this nut on the non-disc side counterclockwise. You're going to keep turning this until you have enough movement side to side with the axle. So the skewer needs to move side to side enough to clear, for the dropout to clear, and the wheel can come straight out, just like that. Once you have the quick release open, you can lift up on the stem, pull the wheel out, nice and easy. To put the wheel back on, slide the wheel in, set the dropout of the fork directly onto the axle, making sure that the rotor goes between the pads here. Alrighty, so locking this bike is going to be really important. If you leave this bike out of sight for more than 1 second, you need to make sure you have this bike secure. This bike comes with a rear wheel lock already mounted on the bike. That's this piece right here. To lock the bike, you're going to take the same key from the battery. On the non-drive side, so the left side of the bike, you're going to insert the key. Turn it clockwise, and you're going to slide this lever all the way down, and you'll see this metal bar is going to go through the spokes. When you let go of the key, it'll stay locked. When you go to ride, to unlock it, turn clockwise, remove the key, you're good to go. In addition to using the rear wheel lock, we highly recommend the Avis Bordeaux Granite X Plus 6500. We sell this lock with every e-bike. We've had a great experience with it. It's their highest security level, 15. We've had a great experience in the store with this lock. You can mount this lock right here on the frame. So this little holster will hold the lock in place securely when you're riding. You still have enough space to put your leg through and mount and dismount the bike. Having it here, you're keeping all the weight centered, just like the battery and the motor, so that helps with your stability in the bike. There's 2 straps. You can strap the mount onto the frame, so the mount will stay on permanently. And then this lock will pop in and out of the mount. So there's a few things that you're going to be doing to keep this bike maintained properly. One of them is lubricating the bike chain. Take the rag, wipe off the chain the best you can first. Get all the dirt and grime off of there. If it's really built up, you could use a degreaser. But if you do this about every 100 miles, 150 miles of riding, majority of the time you can just use a rag, wipe it off the best you can. Okay, I'm going to backpedal, do the same thing again. Do that around the chain once or twice. Take your chain lube, and you're going to apply lubricant right to the middle of the chain on these rollers. You don't have to coat the whole chain with chain lube, just in the center of the chain. Barely applying pressure to the bottle. I'm going to backpedal all the way around. You're going to backpedal about 3 or 4 times to make sure you get all the way around the chain. Okay? Get on the bike, ride it for a minute, making sure that the lube is getting all the way around the chain. After you do that, take the rag again, wipe off all the extra. Okay, a little bit goes a long way with chain lubricant. It's important that you use a bicycle-specific chain lube. We recommend the Dumont Tech brand. It's a plastic base that bonds to the metal, doesn't attract dirt. But if you keep the chain clean and lubed right, it'll last longer, it's going to ride smoother, you'll have a better experience on the bike. So there is a magnet on the rear wheel. This magnet here is bolted. This bolt, as you tighten it, cinches down onto the spoke. The motor will not work if this magnet is not on the wheel. Every time this magnet goes around, there's a sensor that it passes by here. And if this sensor is not working, it doesn't know your speed, the motor is not going to work properly. So if you ever see an error code on the display, this would be the first thing to check and make sure this is straight. You know, sometimes it'll twist. It can twist out of alignment. So make sure it's straight and it's aligned here, generally in this range. You need to have this magnet on the spoke for the system to work. The Townie has a quill stem. So this piece here goes inside the fork and wedges as you tighten this bolt right here. So you can adjust this up and down by loosening this bolt. And then this piece will slide up and down here. I'll take it all the way out so you can see what it looks like. So you can see it comes out pretty far. Now there is a minimum insertion line here. There's some grooves here. So it has to be at least to that point right there. Okay, so you'll notice the wheel turned once you loosen this up, so you need to align that. So if you want the highest point, make sure you don't see those marks on here. Again, that's the minimum insertion. And then we're going to tighten up the bolt here, 6mm Allen. Now, once you loosen that, okay, now the stem is going to be aligned with the wheel. And that can be difficult to get perfect. It's really hard to visually look at the stem versus the wheel. So what I like to do is I use the edge of the handlebar and I compare it to the fork at the bottom there, making sure it's aligned straight. Now, if this stem is loose, your bars can twist, and that can be extremely dangerous, where you'll crash instantly. If this twists at speed, you're going to hit the ground right away. So it's extremely important that this bolt is very tight. And the way I check it, once I get the stem straight, okay, you grab the tool. Again, you want to get that high torque. The way I check to see if the stem is tight enough, I'll put the wheel between my legs, and I'm going to use the handlebar as leverage, and I'm going to twist. Make sure I can't twist that stem either way. Okay, that amount of leverage, I'm confident that it's going to be safe and I can go ride the bike. Now, you can check that once in a while, make sure that's not coming loose. But if you do this on a regular basis, if you can't twist it, if you're pulling on this really hard, then you know that that bolt's tight enough. One other important thing that I recommend you to do is check the bolts on the bike, make sure nothing's coming loose. This is an Allen wrench, metric Allen wrench set that I would recommend you have at your house, so you can go through all the bolts. If you're riding the bike a ton, it's possible something can loosen up the vibrations while you're riding. So get an Allen wrench set. Some people buy a multi-tool. These are smaller and easier to carry, but they're kind of difficult to use on a regular basis at the house. But you need to have all the sizes up to a 8mm Allen wrench for this bike. And you basically, what I do is I'll start in the back of the bike and work forward. So this is the 2021 Electra Townie Go 5i. Retails for $25.99.